You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here at 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, April 22nd show. Each week, I share expert advice and inside knowledge on today's events in our local economy and how it can affect your money. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. You can call the show at 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com to discuss anything regarding your finances, any expert that you want to get connected to. I have them in studio. Right now, conversation with Vivian Peterson and Debbie Jaeger with Windermere Real Estate, Shoreline. And we're going to be having a conversation on flipping homes in the Seattle market. Thanks, ladies, for coming in.
Thank you, Tina.
And a little bit about Vivian and Debbie. Vivian, helping people bring fulfillment to their lives is what Vivian loves about the business she's in. She's in the Seattle native with over 20 years of service experience. She has an eye for design and is knowledgeable about real estate market. Her love for the Seattle community is what led her to Windermere Real Estate, where she has helped people find homes they love as well as sell their home with her staging skills. Vivian enjoys being part of people's journeys. And Debbie Jaeger, a Western Washington native, Debbie has been involved in a variety of aspects of real estate for more than 32 years. She has investment properties that she manages, flipped houses at a variety of times over the last 10 years, including buying some homes, those of out from the live auctions. She also worked in the mortgage lending business for 10 years. She's a premier associate broker with Windermere and works with both buyers and sellers. And in her off time, she spends time with her kids and enjoys variety of outdoor activities and travels, working and loves working in her garden and traveling. Probably doing a little traveling in the garden, right?
I am. And if I had known that my colleague over here had a Harley, I would have put down that I enjoy my Harley as well.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome. And you ride your own too?
I do.
Oh, that is definitely girl power. Vivian, what's wrong with us? Okay, back to business about talking about flipping homes in the Seattle market. So Vivian, how is the current Seattle market right now?
Well, it depends if you're a buyer or a seller and what price point you're looking at. If you're looking at something that's $1 million to $1.5 million, that's a different market. However, continued low inventory and multiple offers and competing offers is driving the market up. So the Seattle average price right now is about $700,000 for a home.
Yeah, that is crazy. And the inventory you've, with the lack of inventory, I think they say King County normally is $9,000 to $10,000 of inventory, or 9,000 to 10,000 homes of inventory, which it's last time I saw it was like 1,500 to 1,800 just in King County. So it's crazy out there. Debbie, how do you decide if a house is a good flip property or not? Because that's a whole different dynamic when we talk about flipping versus holding the home.
Correct. It is. And some people make it sound like it's really glamorous, but it's not. I mean, you really need to know what you're doing. But as far as knowing, whether it's a good flip or not, it's really location and buying. You want to buy in an area where it's a hot area. You want to be right now. Almost everywhere is a hot area, but really you want to be in city, close to transportation. You want to know what's going on in the area, that things are selling, really quickly. So, and you want to buy something that has good bones. Flippers are not builders, so they just want to fix up the house. They don't want to rebuild the house. So really just knowing that it has good solid bones and good potential for improvements or adding to unfinished space, just things that they can do that are quick and will not take 6 months to work on. And right now, according to the Realty Track stats, last year in the area in King County, there was over 1,500 flipped homes, and I would expect that there will be more of those coming in 2017.
That is crazy. And as you're talking location, I'm, thinking with flip too, you can really strategize in that location because at some point in time, the market is, going to adjust, obviously. That's without saying. And in the near future, none of us see that, but still you want to be cautious in the flipping if you're buying in the location, the greater areas that are going to be later in seeing a market turn.
Right.
So Debbie, what about somebody that's thinking of investing in a flip property? What do they need to do to get started in this process?
Well, I think very first thing they should do is align themselves with a really good broker.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's key. And find a broker that really knows the area that you want to be in and that you're comfortable in a price point that you are comfortable in, and someone that's willing to go out and kind of roll up their sleeves. There are some good deals out there that are on the open market, but a lot of times, myself and Vivian, we go out and we door knock. We do old-fashioned door knock.
Yeah.
And we pick up properties that way, and we target certain ones that we think just from the outside looks like it could be a great fixer.
Might be a good thing, yeah.
And we know what the exit price would be in that neighborhood, and we go after it. And we bring it.
So, when you're talking about experienced agents, then it's important that you're working with somebody that understands that process of flipping, because everything that you're saying there is, dynamic to understanding that process.
Right. And as a broker, if you've been doing this for a little while, and I've done some flips myself, I can walk through a house usually and kind of estimate how much it will cost. I'm not a contractor, then I would,
Sure.
but I have a good idea maybe. So I know if it's even something worth bringing an investor to look at. Because there's many properties that we would just say, no, there's not enough profit in this, or it needs too much work, or there's something wrong with it, and we won't even bother with it.
Makes sense. So, Vivian, when you're thinking about flipping, what would you say on an average is the time frame of fixing up that home and being able to get it back on the market and selling it?
Well, Tina, in a perfect world, I would say about 60 days and 90 days max. The goal is to have it fixed up and back on the market in that time frame. The longer it takes, the more it's costing in carrying costs, and markets can change quickly.
Yeah, so you want to strategize again, and why it's important to work with an experienced broker that understands how this process goes, because the timing is important, and making sure you've got all of those things lined up in the appropriate time associated to get it closed in that 90 days. So, Debbie, what items do investors need to consider when buying a property to flip?
Well, I think first they need to really know what the exit price is.
Okay.
When, as the house, finished product. And then from there, kind of work backwards on what will it cost to do the improvements. And they really need to know their numbers. If they are not an expert, they should be bringing a licensed contractor in and having them give them a really good idea of what it will cost. And they really need to be prepared for surprises. Because when you start opening up walls and uncovering things, there's usually at least one or two, sometimes very costly surprises. And the other thing that I think a lot of flip, investors forget about is the carrying costs. So if you are borrowing hard money because you don't have your own cash, you better remember to take that into account every month, every day. Taxes, carrying, insurance that you still have to carry on the property, your selling costs, 8.5%, 9% selling costs. There's all those little things that people forget about that. And then really in the end, talking about taxes earlier, I think investors forget that there is some tax at the end.
Yes. So just having that plan of financially breaking it all out, making sure that you have that buffer for any unexpected things, what your carry cost is, and then your exit, what's it going to cost in that exit piece for the taxes. Great advice. Vivian, what amount of net profit do investors expect or hope to make?
Right now, they're making about 30%, most of them.
Okay.
In Seattle. But I would say about 20 to 30%.
Okay, so after everything is completed, the cost and the taxes and everything, being able to walk away with 20-30%, not a bad deal if you're able to walk away with that. And again, that's why the importance of the experience is important, so that you can make sure that you're maximizing that profit. So, Debbie, what is the biggest mistake investors make when buying a flip home? The wrong one?
There has been a few of those. I've had someone buy a house once and they didn't see the inside. Of course, it was at an auction, and when they got into the property, the sewer had backed up and the basement was completely full.
Oh, my.
So you never know what you might get sometimes, especially if it's not a house on market and if you haven't had a chance to inspect it. That's usually not the case. But I think really the biggest mistake is thinking it's like the TV shows.
Yes.
And it's really not. It is a lot of hard work. You really need to do your homework. You need to know what you're doing, and you need to have a great team of licensed contractors that you can rely on. I think that's just really important right now. And then just really knowing your costs, being able to calculate the bottom line, what is, and allowing for mistakes or things to happen.
So are you guys still picking properties up at auction? Are those that
I do occasionally, but they usually get bid up so high that they are just not a good buy.
So majority of your buyers, you're finding their opportunities by what you said, just old-fashioned creating the opportunity by knocking on sellers' doors that it might look like it's somebody that would be interested in doing that.
Yeah, and I think in this market right now with the prices for the Seattle area, when you are spending $500,000 maybe, $400 to $500 for a fixer house, you really better know what you're doing and have your numbers.
That is crazy. Vivian?
Oh, I was just going to say that I'm finding a lot of houses on, the Northwest MLS too.
Okay. And so how difficult is it, Vivian, in finding these opportunities for your clients that want to flip?
They come around. I saw one today that was interesting. Mm-hmm. And if they have all cash, you can write a good offer.
Yeah.
And then if you look at the houses around, and then like all the new ones that have built that are selling for, 3 times or 4 times more than that, then I show them that, and then they can figure out the math.
Yeah, so if you're thinking about flipping, it's probably just being with the long haul and knowing that it may take some time to find that perfect house, but stick with it and make sure that you're being careful on the one that you're choosing and not trying to rush it and making those big mistakes. Debbie, how do you advise buyers in this market to win in multiple offers? Just traditional or your flippers?
Well, obviously it's competitive, so having cash.
Cash is king.
And having everything, doing pre-inspections. For flippers, they usually do their own because they know they're going to tear it apart, so it's not as critical. But just really, I also tell buyers, if they're traditional buyers, you should be looking at price points 10 to 20% maybe under what you can qualify for, because you're going to be very disappointed when you continually lose out on offers because you're looking at your maximum price point and you can't compete because you can't escalate over the asking price. So buyers get very burnt out and they get really tired of losing out on. It's discouraging for them.
Yeah, great advice. Well, there's opportunities out there to buy, whether you're buying your first home, you're doing a move up, had some creative options during a Money Chat for investors that plan on holding and renting it. And we've heard about flipping. There's opportunities out there for flipping as well. So thank you guys so much for coming into studio and having a conversation with me about flipping real estate.
Thank you for having us. This was fun.
We'll have to have you come back. This is your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, signing off for the day. Everyone, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a great Saturday, great Sunday. I'll be here next weekend, same time, same place, right here on 1150 AM KKNW.